Hello, people. It's your boy Usmaan back again with another Manchester United podcast. Before we start the video, I was saying to Mary before Ali joined, we had a conversation during the week. And we was like, we're doing the video on Thursday, Mary. Are you coming on? She was like, yes, I'm coming on. Fingers crossed. It's a good performance. And oh my God, 5-star performance. And as you can see from the title, bit tongue-in-cheek, the P teacher delivers 5. Oh God, listen, I know Mary, you're fully Ollie, and I've been seeing your tweets today as well. So I know me and Ali have slightly different opinions. But I'm kind of in the middle of both of you, really, to be except without sitting on the fence. I am Ollie out, but I'll explain why. But anyways, before we get into that, just want to say a massive thank you to all the support on the content. If you haven't already, Benji did a match preview with a couple of Arsenal fans. And I've got to be honest, it's one of the funniest videos I've seen because everyone's just taking the piss at each other's team and like both teams at the moment. It's just hard to predict what's going to happen. So make sure you check that out. Show love to Benji. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. And listen, let's get on to today's podcast. I'm joined, as I've already mentioned, by Mary and Ali. How are we doing, boys and girls?
Buzzing.
Thank you.
Absolutely buzzing. I'm still on cloud 9 after last night.
Oh God, I am as well, man. Honestly, God, after we did the match, actually, straight after the game, there was Bobs was saying, you know, you gotta stay calm. You said, I was like, I can't stay calm. In my head, I was like, there's that sort of meme with obviously in the office when he's running about, it's happening. That was happening in my head. I was like, I need to stay calm, stay professional for this podcast. But inside, I was like, yo, what is happening? Like, I didn't even like contemplate the fact that we beat them 5-0. Like everyone was saying that this is the hardest game we've got, and I would agree with that statement. But listen, man, I'm going to pass it to you. What are your initial thoughts? Obviously, as you've already said, still on cloud nine, but how are you feeling about that win?
I think I'm in a little bit of shock because, like that, on our prediction on the channel, we were all like nervous and apprehensive, but positive because we were thinking, okay, we beat PSG, there'll be a different outfit, but look, we can do it. We are capable. But 5-0, like who in their right mind predicted 5-0? I know they did fall apart a little bit. They kind of capitulated after, but we smashed them. Like it's one of those, I think, freak results that we're seeing a lot this season, and I think we're going to see a lot more of it. But the fact that we benefited from it for a change this season because we've been on the receiving end of 1 or 2. I'm absolutely on cloud 9. I can't wait for the Arsenal game. Can't wait to see more of this crazy season. I'm buckled in. My seatbelt is firmly on. I'm ready for the roller coaster. Let's go. I'm in for the ride.
Yeah, no, I think I've got to be just as soon as you said that that you're looking forward to the Arsenal game to see how we get on. In my head, I've got to be honest, I'm thinking I'm not going to try and get too carried away because I do not trust this team still. Although yesterday was an absolute sensation performance. You know, as always on the watch line, we get them to do the score prediction before the game. And everyone was like 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 2. Like, tight. I said 2-1 personally. I thought it was going to be a tight game. You know, I'm a massive fan of Nagelsmann, as the guys know on the WhatsApp group. I always got on about Nagelsmann. And now I'm getting violated. But I don't care. I'll take it every day of the week. If it means we've beaten them 5-0, why would people think I'm upset because Nagelsmann was like lost? Why would they give me shit about him? I've got no loyalty to him. I couldn't care less, but I'd love to be wrong in that situation. But Ali, listen, your wife's away, your kids away. How can you celebrate for the first time in ages?
I know.
Listen, how are you feeling, man? How are you feeling?
No, I'm buzzing, man. Honestly, I think sort of same as everyone. We all thought it'd be a tough game. And first half, even though we got the goal, they still looked as though they had a little bit of control in the game. But second half, I don't know what happened. We just came. We were so solid in midfield. We were pressing a lot more, driving forward a lot more. Okay, 2-3 would have been a fair scoreline, but to go in and get 4 goals in the second half, it's absolutely. And I watched the match reaction yesterday. I saw everyone's faces. Everyone was buzzing. It was the best thing.
I was trying to hide it, trying to be like, oh, you know, it's a one game. It's just 3 points. I couldn't.
You couldn't hide it.
Oh God, I couldn't stop smiling, man. I'm so good because when I went into work, most of the lads I work with, like the sport rival teams, etc. Everyone's at work was like, "Oh, you're gonna get slapped, Barbie loves you." And I had a day off today actually for the first time in ages. They're like, "You're gonna get hammered, X, Y, and Z." Pogba's this, Pogba's that. Bloody hell! I can't wait for work tomorrow. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying why. But Mary, listen, let's talk about the system because Ollie definitely changed it. And in my head, I'm thinking, after the 6-1 defeat, the first thing I said for me was, he has to change something. He has to do something different. We had the fantastic performance against Newcastle. Obviously, followed it up against PSG. A draw against Chelsea is not the end of the world, and obviously now this. So the last 4 games since the defeat, again, I'm speaking very early here, but it kind of reminds me of when Conte got slapped by Spurs, and he's like, shit, I need to change something here, change the system. Yeah. And Ole has definitely changed something. Some people said it's not diamond. Obviously, those, football purists seem to know what they're talking about. But what are your thoughts on Ole since that game? Because it has been a difference, not in just the performances, but the mentality of the players as well.
We haven't lost since that game. We beat Newcastle comfortably in the end. We beat PSG, last year's finalists, drew with Chelsea, and I was really disappointed after that because I don't think Chelsea have gelled yet. I think their manager is overrated, and I think they were there for the taking. We went into that game negatively. Yeah. So for me, it was 2 points dropped, especially because we're so far behind. Probably if we look back at it at the end of the season, it might be a good point in the grand scheme of things within this run of games, but no, it's definitely 2 points dropped. But to then beat Leipzig, and he's changed the formation a couple of times in these last few games. 3-5-2 against PSG, the 4-2-3-1, and that for me it was a diamond last night, 4-4-2 diamond. And I think to get the best out of those midfielders, and without Martial as well, he had to play the diamond and to get best out of Pogba, to see Van de Beek come in. And Fred as well. And I thought Fred and Matic last night linked up really, really well. It was nice to see McTominay, after his poor passing display against Chelsea, sit on the bench. And honestly, Ole, when I hear people say Ole has no tactics, I have to laugh, because 3 different formations, 3 different, massively different styles of play and tactical displays. And he has smashed it. But we know this is Ole. He can do this in the big games. It's in the lesser games, for want of a better word, we struggle. But I thought we were going to struggle really against the high press, because last night was the first time we've seen us actually combat it and come out with a victory, because we usually struggle. So it was nice to see from Ole, and he's definitely, his in-game management as well, his substitutes, he's doing them a lot earlier. He's out there on the touchline barking orders. We saw Marcus Rashford come out and say, he told them when they were going on him and Bruno to pick up the urgency. Again, another in-game management tactic. So I have to give it to him, because he has shown it in the last few games, and we've definitely changed the formation. And it had to change, because we were struggling in the 4-2-3-1, because I know we were playing it because defensively we were horrendous, and they needed protection with the 2 in the double pivot sitting in front of Maguire and Lindelof. But you can still play that while playing a diamond. So look, I think it's the way forward, and I hope to see it on Sunday as well, because it definitely suited us last night.
Yeah, in terms of you made a lot of good points there. In terms of beating the press, for me, that was the most impressive thing about this game. Yeah. I was watching the game. We were 1-0 up, of course, in the first 25 minutes, I think it was, roughly, give or take. And I was still sat there thinking, okay, we're 1-0 up, but these men are relentless with their press. And they just don't stop. They made it very difficult after we scored that goal for a 20-minute period prior to half time. They were just relentless with the press, and they were very. And I've got to give a massive shout out to our midfielders in particular, because the way they kept the ball in moments, I was genuinely I've not seen this in ages. Obviously, we're going to touch on all the individual performance, including Pogba as well. But just Ali, coming back to, the comment that Mary made in terms of Ole's got no tactics. You've been very critical alongside a lot of the lads on the chat. I'm not putting you on, and I have as well, to be fair, in particular after the Spurs game, I guess. But, what are your thoughts regarding that? Have you seen something different from Ole since the Spurs game, or do you still think that it doesn't seem like there's much structure there?
No, I think it was definitely. I mean, once you lose 6-1, you've got to look at yourself and look at the team and say, did we set up correctly? Is it the right formation, etc. So it was kind of forced upon him to sort of change up the formation. I think playing the double pivot, as what Mary said, having Fred and McTominay at times doesn't really suit us too much. And yesterday we saw his confidence in Fred, saying, "Fred, you sit in front of the defense. You're my guy. You cover. You put a shift in." That allowed Pogba and Van de Beek to play a little bit more up front and have that freedom. And we saw it. We saw Fred have an amazing game. We saw Pogba more advanced. We saw Van de Beek almost giving a free row in front as well. And it just allowed those players to blossom in the natural positions.
Yeah.
Whereas I think and again, your in-game management is pretty easy when you're 3-4-0 up and you bring on all the players. It's much more easy. But when it's 0-0 and you've got to make a game-changing decision.
It was 1-0 at a time actually when he made the subs, to be fair. So it impacted the result completely with the subs for the change.
Definitely. But I'm thinking once, like I said, if we're in another situation in a league game, like I said, against Arsenal, and it's not going our way, or we want to sort of press forward a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to sort of dampen it all, but it's one game. Let's try and build on it. Let's try and carry it on, and let's try and see how this team flourishes.
I mean, Barry, like, no,
it's not one game. It was PSG with Newcastle, and he did try and change it against Chelsea, but he got it wrong against Chelsea. But it's not just one game.
No, I don't want to be negative. I don't like I don't want to overshadow a great result.
Yeah, absolutely.
And things that we don't get carried away too much. We've had in the last sort of 3-4 years where we've had a good run and we think, okay, the team's turned, we're going to sort of take a stride, and then we play on a Saturday, Sunday, we get knocked back completely. So fingers crossed we do the same thing on Sunday. Fingers crossed he picks the right team, and like I said, all trust in Ole for now. All trust.
Yeah, no, I completely agree in terms of we've done this already last season. For some reason he pulls out against a big manager. So I don't know how he's doing it consistently. So it's not a fluke. You know, obviously people say that's the one-off game. We've done against PSG. We're top of the table of the group of death. We're the killers in the group. Everybody else is the one 3-0. I'd love to see that. Obviously, PSG is struggling again against Istanbul as well, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare. But it's in our own hands now, which is the beauty of that. But in terms of, progressive, we have to be Arsenal for me. I don't want to hear anything from their fans. I can't stand their fans. They'll be in my DMs. They'll be on WhatsApp. I know too many of them. So we need to win against Arsenal before I get too happy, because if we lose against Arsenal, then we mustn't forget about it, because they'll be reminding us every single day. Because honestly, God, it's an absolute disaster. But I do agree in terms of what he's done with the squad that Mary actually want to touch upon. You've seen on social media, even Sky Sports are getting involved. Why is Van de Beek not playing? Paul Scholes saying we don't need, it was Ever actually, not Paul Scholes. Ever said we don't need Van de Beek. And a lot of United fans have got a big common sense to watch every single game last season. No, we need Van de Beek, because if Pogba and Bruno get injured, I don't want to see Lingard dusting off his boots and his shirt. I love Lingard to bit personality-wise, but he doesn't need to be playing. And, that's not a criticism to him. Like I said about Pereira, you can say about so many other players that we don't need to see in the squad. So for me personally, Van de Beek and players like Cavani also are pivotal. Just the beauty of subbing players like that on is just it's unreal. Yeah. But Mary, what were your thoughts? First performance for Van de Beek. A lot of fans have been calling for him. Why is he not starting? Did he showcase what he's about yesterday?
I think so. Look, he tried things. Some of them didn't come off. He could have got a couple of assists. Yeah. He covered more ground in 70 minutes than any other player on the pitch, over 10,000 kilometres. Yeah. I think he had like 6 blocks. He worked so hard against that press. He really, really did. Was it his best game overall? No, but I think he is a little bit behind in terms of sharpness, and that because he hasn't played that much. But I thought it was a decent show from him, and I cannot wait to see more of him. Maybe a little bit further back rather than the number 10. I would like to see him and Bruno and see how they play together, because we saw, Johnny, with Matic and how they interplayed, and because their intelligence, they were on the same wavelength. So to see him and Bruno, I cannot wait for that. I'm not sure we'll ever get Bruno, Pogba and Johnny, hopefully maybe in some of the smaller games, because I would really like to see that, because I think he can play anywhere across that midfield. So I did think it was good. Not our best player out there, absolutely not, but I was impressed nonetheless.
Yeah, no, I think that's the most impressive thing about him is his versatility. I do agree with you in terms of the number 10 role. I think he could probably play in an 8 or I don't want to say 6 because it's a bit too deep. But in an 8 in the diamond, he's sitting perfectly right centre mid with Fred on the bottom of the diamond. You've got potential playing Pogba left centre mid, which is his favourite position, which is obviously what I've said on the previous video. And then Bruno at 10, they're all in the team. You got Fred behind him. I think a lot of people are underestimating, like you just said with the start there in terms of his running. A lot of people are underestimating his work rate. I just don't understand. He's a workhorse. He said at Ajax as well. Ajax education, you have to play for the team. It's bred in them. It's in his blood. He ran the most, I believe, actually. I think behind Fred, and he went off at 66 minutes, I think it was. So Fred played 90 minutes, and he only ran a bit more than him. So that just showcases how much he ran. Obviously, for me personally, the way I would sum up his performance was neat and tidy, and that's what I said consistently through the game. I don't remember. He passed the ball away once. And I remember it because he was not giving it away at all. I don't know if that's statistically correct, but from what I can remember anyways, I remember it was in second half, he passed the ball away. But in general, he was just kept it ticking and he was just letting people play, man. This is what... And he's beating the press every single time. I don't know how. He was in so many tight positions and he was just, shifting into the foot. But Ali, what were your thoughts on Van der Beek's debut? Massively anticipated, so to speak. Even Sky Sports were like, oh, should Man United have signed him? But I had to sign him. Like Man City haven't got like 10 midfielders.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think I think obviously there was a lot of pressure from outside to sort of play him, and I think you're spot nail on. He was very neat, very tidy, very technically smart as well. Was picking up in the right spaces. It was definitely an upgrade on, say, Pereira and Lingard. So,
oh my God!
so having sort of watching him play, pick up little spaces, little flicks here and there. The first time pass was never ever holding the ball for too long. Got it, give it and go. He played really well. A very solid 70 minutes, and I think he needed it. And he showed Ole that he actually can play in his team and he can link up. So a very good shift. Very good shift.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that's what it's about. Like, as a manager, you want those headaches. And as we said before the show, we're going to be talking about the dilemma he's got going to the Arsenal game. But just talking about other players in midfield, again, another person that's been massively scrutinised for his work rate, Paul Pogba. Again, a lot of people saying, I don't know what Sky Sports' issues is. They must love clicks off us or something. But Pogba can't play with Bruno. He can't play with XYZ. Pogba has to play with about 5 years behind him to unlock him. All it took was him in the right position, surprisingly. Him in his actual position to unlock him. And yesterday, for me personally, I thought he was in my top 3 for performances, obviously. Rashford and Fred being the other 2. But, Mary, what are your thoughts on Pogba? Because at the moment, he's been shocking, let's be real. He's been absolutely terrible this season. Ollie's kind of taking him out, said to him, look, have a couple get some more minutes under the belt, get some more fitness. Do you think Pogba's ready to be in that team come Sunday, or do you think Ollie needs to mix it up and obviously get other players in there?
I would start him, absolutely, because I think in the beginning of the season, look, he was nowhere near match fit. We know he had COVID and he didn't even have a preseason, and he was shocking. But like most of them were shocking, but he was one of the worst. But I think now with the run, I think taking him out and giving him that little bit of rest and just easing him back in definitely helped him. Absolutely playing him in his actual position, which is what we've been calling out for a long time. You see the best out of him, and the more he plays, and the fact that he played the majority of the game as well last night, he has to start for me. Him and Fred and Bruno have to start for me in there on Sunday. Absolutely, I would start. I wouldn't start McTominay. It would have to be Pogba for me.
All right, interesting. So you've gone for Bruno, Pogba, and Fred, did you say?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. What are your thoughts, Ali, on that, obviously, in terms of midfield? Because for once, like I already mentioned, we've got a lot of options. It's a nice problem to have. But do you think Pogba has done enough to get a start against Arsenal? And what did you make of his performance yesterday?
I think we saw a glimmer of what he can be like if he's played in his right position. He was a lot more advanced. He didn't have to deal with the leg dog work, sort of running around, etc. So we saw him a lot more happy, a lot more expressive. He played the through ball to Mason. Because like I said, he's a little bit more advanced as well. And similar to what you sort of said earlier, Ozzy, I think and a little bit wrong with I'm going to sort of disagree with Mary, but I think I would love to see Ollie just say, you know what, Fred will have Pogba, Bruno on the right, and Bruno just in that little diamond, just at the peak of it with Mason and
You picked Bruno twice there. Is that good?
sorry, Fred, Pogba, Van der Beek, and then Bruno just in fair. I think Fred and Van der Beek will obviously give us the legs and it'll give us that nice sort of press on there as well, and then it'll allow Pogba and Bruno to sort of blossom. But that's, like I said, that's a dream scenario to have those four playing that one sort of game. But no, I think playing in his right position, giving that little bit of freedom, and like I said, he shows, like I said, and that killer pass to Mason was just the right weight, and I missed the hit the first time as well. So hopefully picks that sort of midfield for.
Yeah, no, I think in terms of that midfield, for me personally, I don't know for Arsenal if we can get away with that. I've got to be honest. Like, I would love to see that, but I'd probably take Van der Beek out of there and put McTominay in there. I just think McTominay, for me personally, McTominay, Fred at the bottom, and then Pogba and Bruno I'd put in there. But obviously Pogba left in the mid.
It's why I said dream scenario.
No, I think the against the lesser teams, well, I suppose Arsenal are a lesser team in it, but against the even lesser teams, we probably. I want to see that. I definitely want to see Van der Beek, Bruno, and Pogba play. But let's talk about Fred before we go on to Greenwood scoring with his first ever shot. This kid is just an absolute sensation. Do you think Fred and McTominay, a lot of people criticizing him, Mary. A lot of people saying, "Oh, they're not the players that are good enough for the team that shouldn't be starting." How important are these two to the success of this club? I'm not saying every single game for McTominay's case, but in terms of integral to the squad, like how important is it that Ole utilizes these players in the squad correctly?
People forget that before Bruno came in and Pogba was injured last season, how good these two were as a partnership. Absolutely. Especially for me, Fred, he was one of our best players prior to Bruno coming in. He was outstanding, and I am a massive Fred fan. Obviously, he's not perfect. He sometimes he's not great in possession. If you press him, he does kind of succumb to the press at times. Last night he didn't, but his interceptions, his work rate, his energy, his tenacity, winning the ball back, oh my god, he is outstanding. And him in there with McTominay, look, they showed what they could do against PSG. The two of them were out so good. McTominay, even after he got that yellow card, Fred probably the better out of the two for me. A little bit better on the ball than McTominay. Is poor at times passing, but they're so important to us, especially when Matic can't play every game. He doesn't have the legs, and if he's been playing in there, he needs someone with energy and legs and pace in alongside him. So for me, Fred and Matic worked last night. Fred and McTominay complement one another to potentially start on Sunday together, because obviously Matic can't play every game. But the two, Fred, oh my God, people are sleeping on Fred for the last couple of years. Put some respect in his name, because he's been, give him a run of games, give him a good partner, playing him in the right position, and he's outstanding.
Yeah, no, Fred for me was Kante-esque yesterday. Like, that is the biggest compliment I can give him. And I just think, Ollie said it after the game, he covered every blade of grass. And I think that's an understatement. And I think Fred's best attribute is the fact that he's got the ability to pass the ball away, so he can start padding, win the ball back, and say, look, I've won this one. He just goes passing it away so he can get more tackles on his stats. he does it every game. Like, even yesterday, I was like, Fred, please, you know the hard bits. Just make the easy pass. Like, the amount of times after we scored that first goal, right, that we somehow beat the press. I was like, yes, we're beating the press. And then someone would just lose the bloody ball. I was like, oh my God, lads, please, I beg you, just make the simple pass ball. That's the only frustration with him, and I suppose with some of the other players. But in general, I completely agree. I think McTominay as well, massively underappreciated. He's basically Fletcher, really, in terms of what he offers. Yeah. Of course, he's not on the ability of Fletcher. Of course, he's not. Fletcher was way better. But in terms of what he will offer going forward, that's what we need in the squad. We need players like that. People are talking about unlocking Pogba. Well, in this formation, you need legs around him. And to be fair to Pogba, he put in a shift from minute one. At the first minute, he was pressing. I was like, what has happened here? So fair play to Ali. Obviously, got him to press very highly at the start of the game. But just coming onto the sort of, I suppose, the front two in particular. Before we go into the defence, I just want to talk about Martial in particular as well. Again, another person that probably isn't going to get his flowers, as Beeks always says. He always talks about giving out flowers out to people. But I think for me personally, Martial got his goal, got his assist, and Greenwood alongside him. What are we thinking, Ali, regarding the two up top? Do you think that's the way forward? We had Rashford and Cavani on the bench. Like, I can't believe I'm even saying that. That's beautiful.
100%. I mean, is Martial fit, or is Martial available?
He's suspended. He's still suspended. So he won't be playing Arsenal.
Yeah, so I think as soon as he was sort of starved in the first half of the ball, he didn't get much of it. But as soon as the sort of Rashford came on, etc., I think he saw a little bit more sort of freedom. You saw him drive at players a lot more. He was going at defenders as well, so, and sort of cutting past them. Yeah. I just love the guy. I think Mason's unbelievable.
First shot in the Champions League.
I can't. You know what? This guy's unbelievable. This guy is
clinical.
I just love the guy. I think everything about him. He's got that swag. He's got just that natural ability that you just can't coach. It's something we say, if you over-engineer and over-coach Mason, you lose that sort of killer instinct. You say, Mason, you do what you do best. That guy, left foot, right foot, his movement, just the guy's phenomenal. I just love the guy. I think he's spot on.
Yeah, I got his finish, by the way. He made it look so easy because if you watch it back, he already knows what the goal is before he's hit the ball. He barely has a chance to look up, so he's already got the image in his head, and he finds the bottom corner with a scuff. And regarding Martial, for me, I thought he was absolutely brilliant. I was speaking to one of my mates that he's massively critical of Martial because he's lazy, or deems him as lazy because of what the media say. But yesterday, he was far from lazy. He did all the dog work, and the amount of free kicks he won to get us up the pitch, he must have won about 6-7 in the first. I'd love to see the stats for that as well. But I just think he had a perfect striking performance, and I'm happy he got his goal. Obviously, we'll talk about Rashford giving him the penalty shortly. But Mary, what are your thoughts in the front two? What combinations do you think are flourishing the most, and which one do you want to see really moving forward?
Anyone with Martial, because we know he didn't score in 11 games, but we were working our way back from this COVID situation, and then he had 3 games. Look, he's missed a couple of games through suspension, but he has to play. And I couldn't believe people were criticising him last night, because like that, I thought he was outstanding when he got service.
It's weird. People don't know what football is.
And the first half he played the ball back and it wasn't a great ball, and in the second half, that free kick from Bruno, he didn't get a clear connection on it, but he had 3 successful take-ons. He had a goal, an assist, and won the penalty. I fail to see what people are criticising. Was he a 10 out of 10? No, but he certainly was a 7.5, 8 out of 10. Anyone with him, I think, if we're going to play the diamond, potentially Rashford, because I do like their the two of them, and
Do you think, Mary, you work with Cavani? Because I know obviously, you said that Martial has to be the one. Do you think Cavani and Martial compare together, or do you think they're too similar in that sense?
No, because I think Cavani is probably, he's good in the air. He doesn't have the pace that Martial has, or that skill. He's better. He's more like a fox in the box, in the 6-yard box and stuff like that. He's brilliant technique and all that, but maybe 5 years ago they were probably similar, but no, I think no. But they could. I think Marcel can play with any of them. Maybe he could benefit from someone playing further up and holding the ball up while he doesn't have to do that potentially. But I think Marcel is good enough to play with any of these, like Rashford and Greenwood. We saw how good they were last night, but it's all about squad depth for me. And like you said, having Rashford and Cavani on the bench, when we saw last season, we were relying on them way too much. And to play a front 3 when you only have 4 of them, I don't think you really can, because if one gets injured, then we're in trouble. But to play the diamond, really, you have those options there for the front 2. So Marcel and any of the other 3 for me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the beauty of it is the fact that we have those options first and foremost. But I think Martial is very integral to everything going forward. Like I was speaking to my mate who sports Spurs. He keeps going on about Lukaku, how Man United should have saw Lukaku because Lukaku's stats are X, Y, and Z. Martial hasn't scored. Lukaku's got X, Y, and Z goals. And I said to him, look, football's not about stats first and foremost, right? You got a defensive striker, Firmino, who doesn't score at all. And somehow he's loaded one of the best players in the world. And he scored like 2 goals in 20. Even the commentator would take a piss at him saying a rare goal from Firmino when he scored that open net the other day. So even the commentators know that it's not all about stats. And for me personally, right, and I was absolutely disgusted by everyone, well, not everyone, people saying that Martial played poorly yesterday. If you think Martial played poorly yesterday, you don't understand how football works. I'm sorry to say it here, and I'm sorry to think that I know what I'm talking about, but it's as simple as that. You've never played football. The striker's job is to do the dirty work, especially against a team that is pressing like they were. He had to just slow the game down, get the ball, and his link up with Pogba, by the way, in tight, very tight spaces was beautiful. Like, you know, that French connection was back yesterday. And in the amount of free kicks, he just kept getting us high up the pitch because he was winning free kicks. And as you said, later on in the game, you know, he went further left. He allowed Rashford to get his hat-trick eventually after he gave him the penalty. And then obviously Rashford was absolutely sensational to get that penalty. I'm saving Rashford for a whole segment on his own. But just got a comment here from Junior. I have to pull this up. Hi, Junior, bro. Hopefully you're doing well and hopefully your dad's doing well. Basically, his father and son, they always watch me. I think they're from America. I don't know. Thank you. So shout out to you, Junior. Hopefully your dad's doing well also. But just regarding Martial, for me personally, I completely agree with you, Mary. It has to be Martial and someone else for me. I would love to see Cavani and Martial fight for that role because I think they're too similar to play together. Well, based on what Martial has become now. I still think they can't do that, but it would mean Martial has to go back to playing how he did prior to going to number 9, if that makes sense. So he would have to be what Rashford is currently doing in terms of utilising his pace and behind. So for me personally, I agree completely, Mary. It has to be Martial and someone else. But listen, let's talk about Rashford before we go into the defence. We have to talk about Marcus MB. Give him the knighthood now. I want the knighthood tomorrow. Man, I can't believe this guy, man. His Twitter yesterday, right? So he scores that hat-trick and I'm gasping him. I'm like, beaming. I'm posting all his pictures of his. I'm doing everything. Everyone on Twitter is posting pictures of Rashford. He's posting about school lunches after the game. I'm like, yo, I'm like, gasping your hat-trick. Look, I honestly got a testament to him off the pitch as well. I've never been so proud of one of our players. Generally, I mean that. I think even rival fans, I've seen people from Man City fans. The one Man City fan I know, come out of the cupboards and all that good stuff. Even she was like, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I love Rashford. So even they're like, we have to accept it. But he just, I don't know if it was his second goal. I think it was his second goal, but he just absolutely nailed it. It was a second goal. Nailed it to the bottom corner. And I was like, oh my God. That was how you do in training, basically. Like literally what you do in training. Ali, listen, talk to me about Rashford. Just what player? Quality.
Yeah, no, I think yesterday he's like a man on a mission yesterday. He just came out there, just everything he did just was forward. And then it very, very, very clinical. We had a great performance. He came on, a little cameo, but 3 goals. We just looked so much more quicker, more aggressive, more creative with him on the pitch, etc. But I think going back, I think him as a human being, I think at 22 years of age, to do what he's doing, to press people in government that should be doing what he's actually doing in the first place, and to drive it. I think a lot of people think, footballers, they've got enough money, that they're not connected to the real world, etc. But this guy, like I said, at that young age, to go and do what he's doing and to press and to question and to do whatever he can to help millions of kids all around the UK, that's just amazing, man. That is actually amazing. And massive congrats to him, man. He's done amazing so far. And long may it continue as well for him, man.
Yeah, I think the beauty of him scoring the hat-trick was, Boris was somewhere sat in his office thinking, for fuck's sake, this prick scored a hat-trick.
Can't get rid of it.
I know. Like,
Front
I was
page,
hoping he'd get red
everywhere.
carded. He does something stupid, scores not on goal like Martial against PSG. Just do something shit on the pitch, and people might turn on you for like a day or something, like United fans always do. But he scored a bloody hat-trick, man, and now he's going to be asking me for fucking school meal on the back of it. Oh, my God. Mary, listen, what are your thoughts on Rashford? Like, he's relentless at the moment.
I just for a guy who's coming, for a kid, I call him a kid because to me he's still a buddy. I mean, he's 22-year-old young man who came in, blitzed it at 18, and it was like a fairy tale from the youth team. And like usually young players, we've seen it, they've let that go to his head. He's never forgotten his roots. He's never forgotten where he's come from. He's so humble and he just wants to give back. And to see it from a footballer nowadays, it's very, very rare because we usually hear the negative stuff and all of that. But to see him and like before he got that double stress fracture, vertebrae fracture in his back, he was outstanding.
I forgot he got that, I'm not going to lie. I literally forgot.
He was poor when he came back because it was a very serious injury and fans were getting on his back. And, I was kind of thinking, give him a chance to recover. It was a really serious injury. And now we're seeing that 7 goals and 2 assists so far. He has a goal and assist every 71 minutes in a game so far this season. A hat-trick in 16 minutes. I mean, I can't say enough good things about him. He is by far far and away my favourite player at Man United, both on the pitch and off the pitch. So proud of him, and a local lad as well. And he's absolutely outstanding. And I hope he continues to smash it on the pitch, but as well off the pitch as well. And he deserves all the respect and all the accolades. And those that hate on him and have agendas on him, shut up, sit down, and respect him for what he's doing on the pitch and off the pitch. Sir Marcus, it's coming.
Yes, love to hear it. That's it. Shut up and sit down. You heard it here first. Especially you, Jamie Carragher, that wanted Man United to sell him. You absolute twat. Honest to God, I love it. I love it. But listen, honestly, regarding Rashford, I just think it's beautiful because, and we're not obviously spoken about the moment where the penalty was awarded. Marcy gets played clean through by the man Fred, who's sensational, of course. And I'm like, Martial needs to go, please, finish it. And then he gets brought down. Amount of times Martial's been brought down for a penalty. People are forgetting how many times that obviously he hasn't scored. But he's so many times, it's 1v1 and just gets taken out. And it was another one, it was very clumsy. I can't remember, it wasn't Martin Sabitzer, but yeah, that is his name, it's Sabitzer. Yeah, so very clumsy, he slipped, takes the Morata off, for the love of God. Rashford's got the ball out, and I had no qualms of Rashford taking foul means. But fair play to him, very unselfish as well. Gives it to Martial. Martial eventually returns the favour. Obviously smiles around in the end. But it's just that team chemistry there as well from the two guys. You know, that's what we want to see at Man United. We don't see it enough in teams. You know, everyone's in it for each other. And it got to give a credit to Ole as well. Because regardless of what happens from this moment out, the squad he's assembled and what he's done with Rashford and Martial is absolutely quality. They've definitely improved on Ole, and I don't want to hear anything else. Ole was a fantastic striker, and funny enough, everyone's seen the stat now, anyways, Ole was the only other person to come off the bench to bag a hat-trick. He actually got 4, so if I was Ole, I'd be saying, Rashford, you can't have a shit game. I got 4. That's me, basically. I teach kids for a daily, and that's literally what I was saying to kids. I'm like, yeah, but you can't have one short. So that's kind of what I would have done, but I don't know what Ole said to him. But fair play, obviously, we've got a comment here, which, you know, Mary, you've already said, just to echo it, Ole telling them to step up and increase the tempo. And Bruno as well, by the way, that who we've not mentioned, comes off the bench, and he looked like a new player. Like, I'm not saying he hasn't done well, but it's just the fact that he had those minutes rest. Ole's allowed him to say, look, Van der Beek's in position. Van der Beek puts in a good performance. Bruno has to step up. And how important, like, for you is, Mary, that competition in the squad? Because at the moment, even Luke Shaw, by the way, which we're going to go on to the defence, Luke Shaw was crossing the ball into the box, and it was being the first man. I had to rub my eyes. I was very tired yesterday before I watched the game. I wasn't sure if I was hallucinating or not, but I wasn't. It actually happened. So, like, Mary, what are your thoughts on the competition? How integral is that too?
It's so important. Like, I cannot echo how this is important, how important it is for players to up their game, to have someone on your toes behind you, knowing if you don't play well, they're going to come in. And this is what I'm always saying, and I was saying about Ole, that he needed to have players accountable for performances and chop and change, especially after that Spurs game, because it was unacceptable. It absolutely was. And he did. He has chopped and changed it. He has switched it around. And to have the squad depth where it's proper competition. It's not Pereira and Lingard. It's Cavani and it's Donny van der Beek, and you know, it's Rashford on the bench, it's Bruno on the bench, and they're coming on, they're chomping at the bit, and everyone you automatically up their game, because you know, if I don't play well here, Telles is coming in and Donny van der Beek is coming in if I don't play out of my skin. So that is integral to Manchester United. Any success that we have to have competition for places in nearly every position on the pitch. Yeah, no, and for once we actually have it, like literally every position, even in net. Look at De Gea as well. I think De Gea is De Gea's been absolute quality this season so far. And I know a lot of people haven't spoken about him, which is probably a good thing, because it means he's not making worldly saves every 3 seconds. But even De Gea's distribution, again, I can't remember who said it a couple of weeks ago, and I literally killed them for saying it. But even I'm like, okay, fair enough, you were right. Someone was saying, oh, De Gea's distribution's improving. And I was like I could give a shit by distribution, like improve your saves. But who was it who said that? I can't remember who it was, but absolutely killed them. But his overall game has been fantastic. That comes down to him, like you just said. Henderson's behind him. Luke Shaw's got Telles now. The centre backs have got Twan Sabu, who's put in
a 10 out of 10 against the best in the business, in Mbappe, literally the best. 1v1 in 2 scenarios, and he ushered him to the side like it's like playing against, I don't know, Rondon or something from West Brom, some dead striker. Just bullied him to the floor. I don't know. I should have said Lacazette, to be fair. But I was trying to think of a shit striker. I'm not sure what Lacazette it comes to mind first, but it is what it is. If he scores, clipping this. But listen, Ali, what are your thoughts on the competition? As Mary said, I think she's absolutely spot on for me.
Yeah, no, I think Mary's, but I think obviously last year players knew that if they had a bad game, they'd still be in the team next week. And now you've got people on the bench knowing that if you do have a bad game, then there's someone going to come and actually sort of take your place. So, like I said, having that competition, they're probably upping their game by 10, 20%. And like I said, that's just going to benefit us and benefit the guys on the bench because they know, okay, look, this guy's stepping up. I've got to step up as well. So that fight for positions is very important. And like I said, I think same as Mary said, it will just benefit us completely.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And somebody that, was potentially in competition for a position was Upamecano. So, a lot of, to be fair, he's definitely going to get sold come next season. Whether it's us now, after absolutely humiliating him in the second half, not just him as well, Canate as well, who I thought they started very well. But when Rashford came on, Rashford was like, listen, I've fed all the kids now. I've got no texts. I've got no emails to worry about. I can focus on game. He was like, Ollie, listen, just submit 65th minute. I've got to chat to Boris first. And as soon as he came on, it was curtains for them both. Like, Mary, what were your thoughts on obviously Upamecano and I guess Nagelsmann as well? What was their auditions, for competition, so to speak?
Wasn't good, was it? I actually thought Upamecano played well up until about the 50th, 68th minute.
Yeah, I agree.
He was bossing it, and the way he was driving out of the fence with that ball and his passing ability.
I know it was like, relax, man, chill out.
Oh, it was unbelievable, and I think I was kind of saying, okay, we know you're brilliant, like we're going to sign you,
Yeah, relax, we get it.
Yeah,
still.
Like Rashford ripped them when he came on. I mean, his second goal, he left them for
exactly.
It was embarrassing, but like even the best players in the world, even Virgil van Dijk has had mares. I would still absolutely 100% take Upamecano. I do highly rate him. He's only going to get better and better as well. He's still only 22. Superb player. So I would look. It was one game, not even a full game. For about a half an hour, he got embarrassed. Nagelsmann as well. It wasn't great for him, but he is a brilliant coach. Like he is still only 33, only his second season.
You can't knock him to losing to Ollie's tricky Reds, can you really, Mary?
You know
what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I mean?
Ollie's beating the best, so Nagelsmann has to just get in line.
Exactly. He's beating Pep and God knows how many times. His last bloody count. So to be fair, I think Nagelsmann's worst performance was that jacket for me personally. I don't know what. I was trying to turn the brightness on my TV because you were blinding me with that shit. But can you imagine him being that manager with that jacket and that zebra kit? the teams will be like, what is going on here? Like Nagelsmann, you don't have to wear the keys. Like, nah, it's all good, man. It's so good. We'll box down. But Ali, listen, what were your thoughts on Upamecano? And as well, me personally saying I wanted Nagelsmann as well. I still do want him, but what were your thoughts on both of them?
Upamecano, I think most spot on. He played really well. He had a really strong first half. He was literally out of defence from the very first minute, playing some really good diagonal balls as well. He looked like a really good ball playing centre half. Like I said, he'll definitely be sold in the summer or in January. He'll go to a big club and have a great career. Nagelsmann is tough because obviously, like, you can see the ethos he tried to have in his team to win the ball, to press, to move forward. It's one game. I mean, he's definitely a top manager. Like I said, you can't judge him on just that one game alone. We've sort of go over there as well.
Well, based on that game, the RB Leipzig fans think Maguire and Lindelof are flipping Maldini and Esther.
We're saying that second half, we turned Upamecano into frigging Titus Bramble. It was horrible.
We did as well, to be fair. Oh, God, love that. This obviously got United based saying career enders from Rashford. Just what Rashford does. Like, listen, lads, don't take it personally. Like we said, he's taking down the government on his own as well. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. It's just what he does. He's just destroying everyone at the moment. We don't give a shit. And obviously we got Nagelsmann. after a 5-0 loss. I don't know if that's a compliment. It's up there.
That's brilliant.
It's just got violated 5-0, but it is what it is. I'll take it. But listen, let's move on to the defense, and then we're gonna do a small segment on the small club that we play on Sunday. I wonder what the score is. To be fair, I'll have a look in a second. So let's talk about the defense, because as we've already said, it's spoken. You got to give credit where it's due. At the end of the day, myself and Ali. Well, I suppose Ali's been on you out for a long time. And me, it was, just so you know, Mary, it was after the Spurs game. I was just like, right, okay, I don't see how you can come back from there. But in terms of Ole, he's definitely turned it around in just these 4 games. And obviously, long may it continue. But in terms of what he's done with the defence the last 2 games in particular, I suppose the last 4 games, really, after that Spurs game, absolute shambles, really. That was the worst defending display I've ever seen. It could have been any bloody score. But listen, Ali, what are your thoughts on the defence? Like, so many individual performers. We've spoken about competition. There's Tellez, there's Twan Sabi, both probably could. Obviously, Tellez had COVID, so hopefully he recovers quickly. Twan Sabi as well, he didn't get a game. Williams potentially can play right back. What are your thoughts, Ali, on the defence at the moment?
Yeah, obviously that Spurs thing was just a one-off. It's just a nightmare that we don't want to sort of go over again. But Shaw's definitely improved over the last sort of couple of weeks. The guy, like yesterday, he was whipping balls in from deep, and I was like, "Is that really him?"
No. He should have got a couple of assists, by the way.
Yeah,
it was 2 or 3 that he put on the money. And I don't know if it's because no one's used to him crossing it in and being the first man. They're like, shit, Marcel was looking at me like, is that what's up? Like the way he used to look at Pereira, he was shocked, like, what are you doing? Like he looked at me like, no, that can't be right. That can't be right.
Yeah. No, but I mean, he had a good game. Wan-Bissaka, like I said, he's Mr. Consistent. He was, I think he's getting back to his best as well.
Yeah.
If there was one negative about last night, it probably was Lindelof. He lost the ball a couple of times, sort of coming forward, etc. I think we weren't tested that much in terms of being worked consistently. So I think Axel after PSG, it was tough for him to sort of get dropped and Lindelof come in. So I think overall it was a great night. Yeah. But if there was one change for the Arsenal game, sorry, it probably will be Axel coming in for Lindelof.
Really? Oh wow! I've got to be honest. I'll pass it to you, Barry. I think Lindelof was better than Maguire yesterday. I think. I suppose they're both fantastic. So it's hard to sort of choose between them. But I just think with Lindelof, he was driving with the ball based on what Connor was doing with them. Lindelof's going. I think he probably did more dribbles than some of our players. He went past 3-4 players. And I was like, just keep going, don't pass it. Just keep going, man. Why are you passing? I hate when defenders do that. They get past at everyone, right?
And then they stop.
They'll pass it wide, and they'll just jog back. Just join the bloody attack, man. Why are you going back? Do you know me to not annoy you? It's like, just there now. Just stay there. Just try to get a header like Ramos would do or something. But Mary, what were your thoughts on the defence? And then we got a question here from Benji that I want to throw it to both of you guys.
I thought they were superb. Like they have been since that Spurs game. Look, were they tested really in a lot of those games besides the PSG one? Probably not. Newcastle were toothless and the only goal they scored was an OG, and then Chelsea weren't any great shakes either. And like Ali said, offensively, RB Leipzig last night didn't offer, they had chances and De Gea made a couple of saves, but it wasn't relentless and off the line and to and fro's where they would be tested a lot more. But certainly compared to the Palace game, even the Brighton games, because I thought in those games our fullbacks were getting ripped. It was embarrassing in those 3
especially that Brighton game.
So
Oh my God! About 19 times on backstick. Oh my Lord!
And Trossard was absolutely skinning him alive, and Wan-Bissaka was so poor in those games. But I think it's more with our fullbacks, certainly the fitness, and I think the more games they get under the belt, the more consistent. And we know how good Aaron Wan-Bissaka is, one of our best players last season, and he is back to his best. Shaw, we know his thing is fitness, but he can be excellent for us. Maguire, I mean, that whole Greek thing, I was fearing the worst for him. I really, really was, because I thought he should have been hooked and dropped really and taken out of the side. I do think that Lindelof is the weak link overall in there. But we had the third best defence in the league last season, so they can put in very solid, very good performances. I would agree with Ali. I think Axel should be in there alongside Maguire. Hopefully, if we're tested at the weekend, that they stand up to the test, because I do still think there are frailties in there, but hopefully the confidence after getting 2 clean sheets in a row will stand them in good stead, because we need to defensively to be solid. And I do think that the 2 DMs in front of them have massively helped, because they did need that help too, really, because we were a shambles before that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Obviously, the screening in front of them is massively helped. In terms of Twansabi, I do agree with that comment also. I think to nullify Aubameyang, basically, the way I see this Arsenal game, we'll go on to after ask Benji's question. We just got to nullify Aubameyang, basically, and who's going to pocket Aubameyang? Twansabi is. He's not going to do it for pace, basically. So I would agree with you. I would take Lindelof out and put Twansabi in, and that's not a discredit to him. His last 2 performances in the Champions League have been 10s for me. So fair play to Lindelof. Long may it continue. But in saying that, I still agree. I do think we need to be smart here, and let's not get ahead of ourselves, because we've seen what they are capable of. Also, we've got a question here from Benji, like I already said. Would you put on the screen? I'm assuming he's referring it to Ali, as Ali turned it around, and Ali's already laughing because Benji's the most Ali out person you'll ever meet, Mary.
But I can understand it. Like, I mean, he gets a lot of things wrong. I absolutely can understand why people. And after that Spurs game, like, I mean, I wanted them all hung, drawn, and quartered, you know. So I can totally understand it. Why people would be all out. I'm just sick of the whole managerial merry-go-round, and just give him at least till the end of the season, see what he can do. But if it was going in the first 3 games, if it was continuing like that, a decision, of course, would have to be made sooner than that. And unfortunately, he probably would have to go, but hopefully he has turned it around.
I was about to say, do you think he's turned it around? So obviously
it's hard to say, because like, we have seen that again. Like last Christmas, I was saying he needed to go at the end of the season, because I thought he was out of his depth. After that Burnley game, I thought, he's not turning it around. And he got Bruno, and we went to 19 games unbeaten. And when he initially came in, we had that bounce, and we went 14 games unbeaten in the league. So we can see that he can do it. But the one thing about this team, and the one thing about Ole, is we need consistency massively over everything else. Like, it's all well and good to do it against PSG and Leipzig and Chelsea and Arsenal, but you need to carry that into the games against the Brightons, against the Burnleys, against the Crystal Palaces, because it is consistency, and that's where Ole fails for me. So I do want to see it over, not just 10, 15 games. I want to see it over a whole season long. And in semi-finals and things like that, I did think we bottled it as well last season.
Especially against Chelsea.
Absolutely. And even though we were way better than Sevilla, we did technically bottle it as well. So I want big game mentality and leaders in those cup games. Again, another slide on Ole there too. So for me, we have shown progress under him, but it's the consistency overall that he needs to work on for me.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't even add anything to that. You've answered it completely the way I would answer it. Everything you said, I've agreed to a T. I'm going to judge him at the end of the season now. A lot of people say to me, Usmaan, you finally said Ole out after the Spurs game on record, because everyone's been asking me every time we lose, like, the amount of text I go, Ole out or what? So, for me personally, I'm not going to say Ole in or none of this nonsense. Let's see what happens at the end of the season, and we'll just take it from there, because we have to do it for a full season. You know, it's the same for individual players. When you say, oh, he's a one season wonder, at the moment Ollie's just having these purple patches, and I want to see for the whole season, as he did last season. We finished third, so I'm gonna say not a merit, but it is what it is. I want to see come the end of the season, challenging at all fronts, actually competing, and in those clutch moments where we need Ole to stand up, like obviously the semi-finals that you illustrated to, or referred to, should I say, he has to come through. So for them moments is where he's going to be judged. I think at the moment, yes, granted, great wins, happy, over the moon, as every United should be. If you're not feeling over the moon, then, well, you've got an agenda, and this is pathetic, really. Ali, listen, just to add to that, what are your thoughts, and then we'll talk Arsenal.
Yeah, I think just sort of one on it. I think whenever he seems down and out. He somehow manages to turn the corner and pull out.
Do you think the players are playing for him though? Because obviously, like, you know, I see again rival fans saying on social media, somehow Ole always seems to do it. And you've got to say in the last 4 games, the players have been putting in a shift, and we've not seen enough of that.
I think they are playing for him, but I think he's picking the right team to get the players out of it. So I think if they're playing in their best positions, then they excel. When they're not playing best positions, then they struggle, and then it goes to the manager, etc. So, yeah, like I said, he's taking a few gambles. He's playing the players in the right position as he should. But yeah, whenever it's down and out, and you think, okay, end of the road here, you go away to PSG and you win, and then you come back and you beat Leipzig. So, yeah, like I said, just keep thinking forward. Like as he was as a player, he was very forward, very, very sort of naturally gifted in regards to what he was doing. Take your gut instinct with the team, play them in the right positions, give the players the confidence, and then just sort of go for the games, really.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Okay, just to finish off, just a quick chat regarding the Arsenal game, not in too much detail, of course. Just in terms of what you want to see come that game, Mary, in terms of formation, you could potentially do personal. I think the most controversial positions are really midfield, really, I suppose, or topical. So yeah, just quick your thoughts on the Arsenal game in terms of how we should approach it, etc.
We haven't beaten them, I don't think, at Old Trafford in a couple of years now. Usually they're easy peasy for us in recent years. But yeah, we struggled in the last few years. So I want to see the diamond. It's worked for us. Arteta's probably going to go with a 3-5-2. I don't want to match that, and I don't want to go back to 4-2-3-1. I want us to go with the diamond and play the player, like Ali said, play them in their best position. Obviously we don't have Telles, which is a shame, but I want McTominay and Fred and Bruno and Pogba in there. Obviously, it's a shame that Martial misses out, but Rashford and Greenwood for me, and Axel has to play like that because Aubameyang for pace he's the one danger man. He can rip us if he gets beyond Lindelof and Maguire. So we need pace in that back four or whatever he's going to play there. So Axel, Bruno has to come back in, Rashford as well, leading the line as well with Greenwood. So definitely the diamond, take the game to us. I don't want us to come out cautiously and then go for the last 30 minutes like he did at Chelsea, take the game to them, because they are shit, like, let's be honest. Absolutely shit team, decent manager, a little bit better, but they're so inconsistent. They've lost 3 and won their last 3. They're there for the taking. They're no great shakes. They have one world-class player. Let's go out and absolutely smash them. Yeah, no, just a comment about them be shit. Obviously you said a lot of good things, but that's the one that stood out for me because I can't. Oh God, but no, listen, regarding the formations, I 100% agree with you. They definitely play in the 3-5-2. I personally think Arteta is just Tony Pulis with nice hair. Like, you know, like, it's true though. He's basically, you're telling me that they've got Pepe, Lacazette, Aubameyang, obviously also we're going to talk about him, but they've got them 3 forward and they're not ripping people to bits. Now I know Pepe's not hit the ground running, but I'm still a fan of the guy. I still think he's a quality player, and I'm not going to dismiss his ability because we've seen with so many of our players, you know, if they're not in the right position, right system, etc., it doesn't work out for them, you know. And I think they've got so much quality, and it's just shocking to me that he's not getting the best out of them. So I agree with what you're saying. We have to start the game with intent. Go and win the first half 2-0. If we win the first half 2-0, then we might hit them for 4 or 5. Because if there's any team that loves capitulating and a head loss, Arsenal FC, bottled up FC. Basically, this is Arsenal. You know, you love to see it. But listen, they will capitulate like we did against Spurs, and I would love it if we beat them. But listen, Ali, what are your thoughts?
Nah, I think Mary's got the team absolutely spot on. I think Axel coming in for Lindelof.
Mary at the wheel, hashtag.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Axel coming in for Lindelof will sort of cover that pace. It'll be a strong midfield battle. Partey, Xhaka, Fred, McTominay, Pogba, but that'd be quite good to see, actually. It'd be quite good. And obviously seeing Gabriel tested against Martial, against Rashford and Greenwood would be good as well. So I think there'll definitely be some good battles on the pitch. Like I said, fingers crossed. Come this time Sunday, really, we'll be all buzzing and doing some really good podcasts, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But listen, we're just going to finish off with the score prediction. I just want to say, if you are still tuning in, make sure you put your score prediction in the comment section. Obviously, as always, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Right, Mary, we'll start with you first. Obviously, as you said, Arsenal is shit. Just before you say his competition, I'm going to give you a bit of, perspective. They're all winning 2-0 against the mighty Dundalk at half-time, so just take that into consideration. So, what is his competition?
I'm quaking at the thought.
If we lose, by the way, I'm going to get rinsed. I'm going to get I hope no one's still watching the video at this point anyway.
Easy 3-1 win to United.
Ooh.
Oh my God. If we beat Arsenal 3-1, Mary, you best believe it. I might have to start doing Ryan Giggs celebration when he's like got his shirt on. I'm gonna be buzzing if we beat Arsenal. I can't stand them and their fans, honestly. But Ali, what's this competition? What are you going for?
You know what? I'm going for a nervous 1-0. I'm based in London. All my friends are Arsenal.
You don't talk too much. You don't talk just in case.
So I'm worried, but I'll take. I think a strong 1-0 performance. I think we'll block them out. Like I said, I don't care what score is. Just go out there and win, boys. Just go and get the win.
What's this put 4-1? Not a surprise at all. That is.
Why is he the most positive person I've ever met in my life? This guy.
I know he really. This is my brother, by the way, Barry. He's surprisingly he didn't say we beat RB Leipzig 5-0. I'm slightly shocked that he didn't, but it is what it is. What I will say is Twan Xavier has to start. You both said it as well. And as you mentioned, I thought to myself, no, I completely agree. I think if Twan Xavier starts, they don't score. Because Aubameyang is their main threat. Fair play to Lacazette. Like, he's going through a bit of a rough patch, but I still do believe in his quality in terms of his hold-up play. And to be fair to Lacazette, he always causes problems against us. I don't know if you noticed, but and it's always De Gea pulling over worldly save against him. He just can't score for some reason because De Gea always turns up against Arsenal. But Aubameyang, if you keep Aubameyang quiet, I don't think they'll actually score, to be honest. So I've gone for a 2-0, 3 clean sheets on the bounce. To be honest, I don't give a shit what the score is. I don't care what the performance is like. As long as we bloody win. Yeah. If anything, I hope they hit the bar 10 times so the fans are crying and then we score some dodgy penalty. I don't even give a shit. Like, whatever it may be, just get the job done. Let's just banter them all the time, and happy days. But listen, that is the end of the podcast. Just want to say a massive thank you to debutant. I was about to call you Rashford then. Mary, I was literally about to call you Rashford, but
I'll take it.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm getting flipping calls from next fucking naggers when it's been slapped for 5, so Rashford's not bad, is it? And also, as always, Ali, how you doing, bro? Thank you very much for coming off the wife and the kids away. And it's, you know what, let me come on to the podcast, so we appreciate it. But just before we wrap up, as always, Mary, if you want to just shout out your socials, I know it's there anyways, but some people obviously can't read in it, so it's, it is what it is. Where can they find you?
She Devils United on YouTube, all female Man United fan channel, and at Mary She Devil UTD on Twitter.
Yes, her links are obviously in the description. As always, and Ali, same question to you, Mary, where can they find you?
Twitter and Instagram, Ali_B86.
And before we go, Ali, as always, I'm going to say, Ali is a plug for the kids.
Yes.
Obviously, if you know Joe from Ole for United, acting Joe that is, he bought, what did you buy, like 10, 12 kits off you? I don't even know what it was, something ridiculous.
14, 15
14 kids. Yeah. Ali sells the kits. They're completely legit. I've got one myself. My brother's got one. Obviously, Joe bought literally 12. 30, Joe got carried away. But fair play is what it is. How much is it? £35 each. Obviously, I let you. I don't know why I did it for you. Ali, yes, your kits. Where can they buy them?
Yeah, so like I said, so just drop us a DM. £35 plus postage. Generally about a week turnaround. Getting for a very popular warehouse based in the UK. There's nothing dodgy, no dodgy Turkey, Chinese tops, etc. So just drop us.
Nothing wrong with them, by the way. If you've got
nothing wrong with that. Obviously, great countries. But just like I said, just drop us a message and we can definitely hook you guys up.
Yeah, to be fair, at least the Turkey kids have the wrong sponsor, so don't have to wear the separate thing. So, to be fair, they might be better. I'm just throwing it out there. But listen, make sure you do check it, because like I said, it's literally £35. I got mine with Martial in the bag. Obviously, I've got one for my cousin with Cavani. Number 7, legit. Obviously, name and flipping shirt for £35, which is, in this day and age, is an absolute steal. It's almost dodgy. That's how cheap it is. But it is what it is. I would tend to put the price up, but it's not listening to me. Anyways, drop a like, subscribe to the channel as always. We'll be back. I don't even know what day of the week is. We'll be back tomorrow with the preview. I've got 3 Arsenal fans on. Hopefully, we can collect some teas before the game.